Perek Aleph, Mishna Dalet. Yosef ben Yoezer, ish Streda, v'Yosef ben Yochanan, ish Yerushalayim, kiblu mehen. Yosef ben Yoezer, ish Streda, omer, yihiveischa beizvad lachachamim. V'have misabek ba'afar ragleim, v'have sheisa v'atzoma es divreim. He said that your house should be a gathering place for the Chachamim. When Chachamim want to gather together, when they want to have a meeting, when they want to have an asifa, when they want to join together, when they want to discuss items and matters, that should be in your house. Your house should be a meeting place, a gathering place for Talmidei Chachamim. And you should attach yourself to Chachamim, to Talmidei Chachamim, to the dust of their feet, so to speak. You should cleave to the Talmidei Chachamim and drink thirstily their words. Whatever they say, it should be as if you're a person who's thirsty, and that water that you drink, you're drinking it with so much enthusiasm, so much thirst. It's something that you desire so much. Their words, you should desire their words and drink in the words thirstily. It would seem to be that the order of the Mishnah would be reversed. It would seem to be that, firstly, that you should cleave to Talmidei Chachamim. You should listen to what they say. You should want to hear what they want to have to say. You should be thirsty to take in their words. And in addition, have your house. Your house should be a meeting place for Talmidei Chachamim. It would seem to be that the order would be reversed. That, firstly, appreciate a Talmid Chacham, and then have your house to be a gathering place for Talmidei Chachamim. And secondly, not everybody has a house. A bocher, it's not going to apply to him that his house should be a gathering place for Talmidei Chachamim. A person has a very small house, a person who is not of that yecholos, this place is not going to be able to mekayim that. The primary thing is that you should listen to the Talmidei Chachamim, you should respect the Talmidei Chachamim, you should be thirsty for their words. Why is the first point of the Mishnah that hey veischa beizvad lechachamim? A further question is, if you examine the wording carefully, there seems to be a subtle change in the wording in the first part of the Mishnah and the second part of the Mishnah. The Mishnah starts, Yehi veischa beizvad lechachamim. Yehi. Then it switches, Vehevei misapek b'avak ragleihem. Vehevei sheiseh etzam es divreim. It starts off with Yehi Veischa. Then it says Vehevei. Why the change? Why the switch? And perhaps the pshat is as follows. That certainly the primary thing is, and the most important thing is to be mechaber the Talmidei Chachamim, to listen to what they say, to want to hear what they want to say, to take in their words vitsoma, like a thirsty person. But how does one attain that appreciation? How does one develop that midah? To listen to the Talmidei Chacham, to want to hear what they want to say. How does one become a person who is attaching himself to Talmidei Chachamim and want to hear what they say? A person develops that midah if he takes Talmidei Chachamim into his home, if he welcomes them, if he surrounds himself by Talmidei Chachamim. And after time, he will develop that appreciation for them, and he'll be able to be misabek ba'afar ragleim, and he will be able and have the capabilities of being sheiseh etzam es divreim. That's not an attribute that comes naturally, instantaneously. A person does not, right from the outset, become a makabel to that level. A child doesn't like listening. An adolescent doesn't listen so easily, doesn't accept so easily. How does it that how can a person develop and become a person who listens, who wants to hear and accept what the Talmidei Chacham say? It's not necessarily the most natural character trait for most people in the world. And even for Yidden, how does one develop and cultivate that midah? By surrounding himself with Talmidei Chachamim, by being B'chamed Talmidei Chacham, taking them into his home and being accustomed and surrounding by them, he'll attain that appreciation for them and develop that midah, which is the ultimate midah. To listen, to take in, to internalize what they say. And perhaps that's the difference in the Lashon of the Mishna. Yehi veischa. It's a tzivu, it's a commandment. Yehi veischa. That's what you should do. Make your house a meeting place for Talmidei Chachamim. Vehevei, which implies not only a commandment, but a pol yotzei, a result. And the result, vehevei misabik ba'ava ragleim. And if you do that, then this would be the outcome. The outcome will be vehevei misabik ba'ava ragleim. Vehevei sheisav etzam. If you do that, if you're mechaber Talmidei Chachamim, if you take them into your house, you mechaber them, and you serve them, and you take care of their needs, and you become accustomed to them, familiar with them, then you will be able to attain that midah of heve misabek, heve misabek. That will be the pol yotze. The result will be you'll be able to become a person who is misabek of avra klein veheve shoyse b'tzamas divrayim. My father, was one of the founders. Established the first yeshiva in Toronto, one of the first yeshivas in Canada, with great Mesiras Nefesh. And when he started in his involvement in it, he was a young immigrant Holocaust survivor that barely could make ends meet. But a friend of his, and someone who's also very involved in the establishment of the yeshiva, Meir Lubavik, Zechron Levracha, told him, you'll see, you'll be involved in the yeshiva, you'll surround yourself with Talmidei Chachamim, it'll change your life, it'll change the life of your children. The story is told by a certain young bocher. His name was Mechel Yehuda. He learned in Vilna, in the Ramel's yeshiva in Vilna. And one day, there was a big excitement in Vilna because they were going to have a visitor. And the visitor to Vilna that day was none other than the Chofetz Chaim. And there was great excitement in the town. There was great excitement that the Chofetz Chaim was coming to visit. And all the Bachrim in the yeshiva went out for Kavod Torah to greet the Chofetz Chaim. And the yeshiva was empty. Now this Bacher, Mechel Yehuda, was a very, very big masmid. And he had a debate, and he was struggling mightily. Should he go out to meet the Chofetz Chaim's Kavod Torah? And of course he wanted to meet the Chofetz Chaim, but on the other hand, there was this huge struggle that how could he close the Gemara? How could he leave the Gemara and mevatel all this time from learning the Gemara? It's not mevatel time. He never mevatel so much time from learning. How could he mevatel his learning? And there's no one in the Beis Medrash learning. What should he do? So he overcame his intense desire to go out and join everyone and visit the Chofetz Chaim. He remained by his Gemara learning B'Hasmada Rabbah. And many years passed, and this Bacher grew to become one of the Gedolei Ador, Rav Mechel Yehuda Lefkowitz, Zechat Tzaddik Karsh Levracha, one of the great Gedolim of our generation. And he was asked that if this incident had occurred again, what would you do? Would you do the same thing? Or this time, would you go out to the Chavetz Chaim? Would you have gone out to the Chavetz Chaim? Looking at it from this vantage point in life, what would you do? He said, Zecher, there's no shaila that he would go out to see the Chavetz Chaim. He certainly would go out to greet the Chavetz Chaim. And they asked him, but what about all of that learning that you would have lost? And that was your cheshbon, not to go out because of all the learning. What about all the learning that you would have lost? He said, had I gone out to greet the Chavetz Chaim, all the learning that I learned over the ensuing years, the following years, all of that learning that I was learning would have been a different learning. Had I gone out to greet the Chavetz Chaim, to see the Chavetz Chaim, to meet the Chavetz Chaim, all of my learning over the remaining years would have been an elevated, a totally different learning. It comes about, it's facilitated, to be mechabet them, to surround yourself with them, to attach yourself with them. And then we're zoicha to those midas and those madregas.